The Sunday lunch was in full swing when the first rifle shot ripped through the valley. Ma set down her apple pie, her fork clinking against the plate, and said, "That sure ain't thunder." Sheriff Tom didn't even blink. He was on his third slice, wiping a bit of crust from his chin when he grabbed his radio and growled, "Tell dispatch I heard a .308 from a north field." He paused, then added with a smirk, "And I'm bringing pie." The rest of us Forks Madare, eyes wide froze. Not out of fear, no. We knew that shot meant trouble. Someone was hunting on our land, bold as brass, in broad daylight, without so much as a nod our way. Around here, that's a mistake you don't make twice, especially not with the county sheriff already at the table. Pa stood, silent, wiping his hands on a napkin before snagging his binoculars from the porch. My brother Jake and I trailed Sheriff Tom, who, despite the chaos, clutched his pie plate as he strode to his truck. "Ain't no fool with a scope gonna ruin apple season," he muttered. As we peeled out, a second shot echoed over the ridge closer, sharper. That wasn't a stray bullet or some farmer scaring off coyotes. Someone was aiming to kill. By the time we reached the tree line near the old hayfield, Tom killed the engine and stepped out, crouching low. He pointed to fresh ATV tracks slicing through our fence, the barbed wire snipped clean, boot prints stamped deep in the mud. This wasn't a casual stroll. These folks came to hunt, and they had the gall to think we wouldn't notice. We crept through pine thickets and brittle grass until we spotted them. 2 men in camo. One stood, rifle slung over his shoulder. The other knelt, gutting a buck with a knife that gleamed in the sun. Their truck sat 20 yards off, tailgate down, blood streaking the bed, a cooler half-packed with venison. The kicker? The taller guy, maybe pushing 50, wore a bright orange vest with Crestwood Wildlife Crew stitched on it, like he was some hotshot game warden. Sheriff Tom's eyes narrowed, his face saying more than any shout could. He stepped forward, calm as if he were grabbing coffee. "Afternoon, boys," he said, voice flat. The guy with the knife spun, startled, then froze when he saw Tom's badge. "Lost?" Tom asked, leaning in. The vest guy puffed up. "We're managing deer numbers," he said, all cocky. "This land's part of the community wildlife zone. Voted on at the last Crestwood meeting." Tom actually grinned. "That right." He stepped over the buck's gutted ribs like he was checking the mail. "Got tagged for this kill." The man faltered. "Didn't think we needed him in a controlled zone," he mumbled, eyes darting. Tom's grin faded. "You think your little club trumps state law? That vest make you king of someone else's ranch." The guy opened his mouth, but nothing came out. His buddy, knife still bloody, tried. "It's a mix-up. GPS said this was open land." Tom didn't blink. "Open for what?" "This is private grazing land. Half's leased by me for cattle. The other half belongs to the folks you just interrupted mid-pie." You could see the moment it sank in. Vest guy stammered. "We thought the gate was public," then pointed to a trail cam strapped to a pine. Tom's voice went cold. "That gate was locked. You cut it. That camera's been rolling since Dawn caught you snipping wire, toting rifles, taking the shot." The second guy shut his mouth fast. "Smart move." Tom radioed, "Sheriff Harper here. Got 2 armed trespassers, illegal firearm use, likely poaching and impersonating wildlife officers. Send the warden and back up." He turned back. "And where I can see him. Don't touch that buck unless you want a tampering charge." Jake leaned in, whispering, "They really thought that vest gave him a free pass?" Tom nodded. "People do dumb stuff when they think a title means power." A siren wailed in the distance. The game warden was coming. These two were about to learn that gutting a deer on sheriff's land was the worst call they'd made all year. By the time backup rolled in, the buck lay still, blood pooling, and the men sat in the dirt, camo stained with sweat and regret. Sheriff Tom paced, radio clipped to his vest, eyes flicking from the deer to the truck to the men, like he was tallying a tab. I'd seen him like this once before, when a developer tried to bulldoze a creek bed. That guy's company drowned in fines for years. Tom didn't yell or threaten, just let the facts tighten like a rope. The warden, a wiry guy named Mitch, showed up spitting sunflower seeds. He eyed the buck, shook his head, and said, "Clean shot, probably from that ridge." He didn't wait for a reply, just pulled out a notebook. When Vest Guy tried the GPS excuse again, Mitch cut him off. Only map I care about is the state registry. This land's private, marked clear as day. You crossed anyway. The Crestwood guy doubled down. I'm a wildlife coordinator. We're authorized to manage overpopulation. Mitch raised an eyebrow. Got papers saying this ranch is your job? Silence. Tom stepped in. Funny thing. I read your meeting notes. You asked a dozen landowners to let your crew monitor wildlife. Everyone said no, including us. You came back with rifles anyway. Jake nudged me. Grabbed Ma's old map box, the one by the couch. I bolted to the house, heart pounding. Ma's box held yellow deeds, topo maps, and hand-drawn lines from the 50s. She always said, computers can be hacked, but ink don't lie. Back at the scene, deputies were flagging the entry point. One looked shocked when I handed over the maps. These originals? Jake nodded. Tom unfolded the biggest, pointing to the field. This is Carver Ranch, unchanged for 70 years. That ridge? Where they shot from. Makes this worse. Mitch agreed. Firing toward a livestock shelter? That's reckless endangerment. Felony, deer or no deer. The air got heavy. The hunters, now looking less like coordinators and more like corner dogs, said nothing. Mitch kept going. Blood trail, cut patterns, no tag. No report, already dressing it. That's poaching, state or private land. That's when a Vest guy, Carl, snapped. We weren't stealing. This land should be community property. You Carvers blocked the vote to make it shared. Tom tilted his head. There it is. You thought you'd kill a deer, claim it as Crestwood's, and redraw the map. Carl's face said it all. Turns out he was a big shot on the Crestwood board, always pushing to expand their patrol zones and snag private land through shady tactics. He'd mapped our ranch as a reclamation zone in a secret board plan, aiming to turn the area into some fancy eco-reserve. Instead of legal channels, he went rogue with bullets. Deputies found bolt cutters and fake boundary markers in the truck, labeled Crestwood Preserve, that sealed they weren't just hunting, they were staging a land grab. As they were cuffed and read their rights, the sun dipped behind the pines. Ma strolled up with a jug of iced tea, eyed the bloody ground, and said to Tom, if they thought they'd claim our land by gutting a deer, they must have skipped school. Tom chuckled. Never met a rancher with a trail cam and a sheriff with a grudge. By morning, the town was buzzing. The trail cam footage he misstamped, crystal clear showed Carl and his buddy climbing the gate, cutting wire, and scoping the land like commandos. Carl's voice even said, no one checks back here. It's ours. That clip blew up the Crestwood board meeting. Leaked to a local blog, it spread like wildfire across rancher forums. Neighbors demanded answers. Some wanted the board gone. Emails surfaced showing Carl's push to redraw boundaries without consent, even drafting a newsletter claiming expanded hunting access on our fence line. The board tried to pin it all on Carl, but the damage was done. The county launched an audit, and the warden's team probed other poaching cases tied to Carl. Then the DA dropped a bomb. Carl wasn't just arrogant, had ties to a developer eyeing our land for eco-lodges. His wildlife control was a front to make our ranch seem neglected, pressuring us to sell. The DA called it environmental fraud, upgrading charges to felony conspiracy. Carl's buddy flipped, admitting they'd targeted 3 more properties. At the next Crestwood meeting, 70 residents showed up, furious. The board barely survived a vote to dissolve, but Carl was ousted, and all patrols were banned. Our family sued for trespass and land manipulation. The county sued for impersonation. Back home, we swapped the cut gate for a steel one, painted black with a sign, Sheriff's Cattle Range. No entry. Ma hung Carl's vest in the barn beside a set of antlers, with a plaque, shot on our land, not by us. Jake grinned every time he saw it. That vest cost him their whole game. Tom stopped by with the final report, and Ma asked, how long till another crew tries this? He shrugged. Not here. Word spreads. Step over a fence. You better know who's on the other side. The wind swept through the grass, same as always. But the lines in the dirt held stronger now, backed by a story folks would tell for years about 2 men who thought a rifle and a fake title could steal what wasn't theirs, only to learn the law doesn't care about your vest when you're standing on someone else's land. So what do you think? Was Carl just a guy with a bad plan, or was he a symptom of something bigger, HOAs and developers pushing too far? Should landowners like the Carvers have to fight this hard to keep what's theirs, or is the system failing them? And that trail cam footage hero of the story, or a privacy nightmare waiting to happen? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button if you're Team Carver, and subscribe for more stories where the little guy fights back. Let's hear it.